Hello, Christina Giordano here, the founder of Sold, your go-to resource for soulful entrepreneurship. And my philosophy is this: people can no longer be sold to, they must be sold to. That is SOUL''D. But in order to sell with soul, you need to be sold on you first. Today's episode is called Alignment in Entrepreneurship Isn't Spiritual Jargon. Here are 5 ways that prove it's your entire business strategy. Now, per usual, if you want to listen to the full episode, it is available on my podcast, which can be found on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's Sold by Christina Giordano, and you can find all of the episodes there. We are currently in the midst of season 4, and today we are talking about something that I have been moving through lately, and it is kind of a full circle moment for me about what alignment is and what alignment isn't. And I think for many, at least if you have been involved in like the spiritual communities of the day, alignment is often described as like this cloud, this dream cloud that kind of carries you forward into your dream life. It's about feeling good while making decisions. And what I have found personally is that alignment, more often than not, puts you on the edge. And that edge is where your essence meets your ego. And most of us will choose our ego. It's familiar, it's safe, it's certain. Some of us, maybe more than a few, will choose our essence. Our essence is essentially our higher self. It's what we know to be true, but we are potentially afraid to do it or say it or embody it. And so while alignment is a journey of discovery in and of itself, there absolutely is a destination. And this is essentially what I have learned lately. The destination isn't a person or a place or a circumstance, it's integrity. If you haven't landed on integrity, you're not moving in alignment. Because when you are in full integrity with yourself, that is essentially being aligned. Alignment isn't a feeling, it's a standard. And as you're moving as the most expansive version of yourself, you are deciding what you will not tolerate and what you will tolerate at that standard. You will not tolerate anything less than the experiences, the standards, the opportunities, the people, the places, the things, the situations, anything that doesn't amplify your expansion, you will not tolerate that. And so when I reframe alignment in this way, alignment isn't necessarily about becoming something new. It's about removing everything that prevents you from being who you already are, fully, consistently, and in integrity. On this episode, I talk about 5 ways that prove alignment is your entire business strategy. I'll go through them real quick, but you can check out the full details on the episode. Number 1, alignment reframes rest as a personal or as a business growth lever, not a pause. Rest became one of my most strategic business decisions, and it probably looked through over the years like I had taken multiple pauses in my business, and I did, more or less, but it was so that my identity could be recalibrated, because I wasn't burnt out from doing too much. I was burnt out because my identity couldn't sustain what I wanted to hold. It just wasn't there yet. And so every time I took a pause, a sacred pause, to come back to myself, to come back to my truth, to kind of regrow and reform my roots into what I wanted to really be anchored in as my truth, that's when rest became productive. Number 2, alignment isn't just about flow, it's about precision. Again, alignment often feels like you're flowing with the current instead of against it. And many people refer it as a state of effortless flow, of clarity, of inner peace. And being out of alignment is often associated with a feeling of stuckness or heaviness or frustration. However, you move through alignment based on the version of you who's leading the way. So that dominant version of you, whether it's the contracted version of you or the expansive version of you, is going to choose what aligns based on that reality within that version of you. So if the contracted version of you chooses safety, they're going to make decisions that are aligned towards safety. If the expansive version of you chooses truth, they're going to make decisions that are aligned towards truth. So the question then becomes, am I aligned? It's not that. It becomes, what is the version of me that is actually leading the way here? Who is the version of me that is making these decisions that are in alignment? Number 3, alignment doesn't give you reassurance, it gives you responsibility. Now, back to the spiritual community, there's a tendency to lack integrity, for lack of a better word. There are spiritual people who claim to be calling in abundance, and yet they're dead broke. There are spiritual people who are meeting their shadows and integrating that and going through that process, but they're in a never-ending loop of it. They're in a perpetual spiral of it, and it's hard to come out of it. And so you can't really manifest your way out of this without first noticing the patterns that brought you here. And you don't necessarily need to feel guilt or shame throughout this process. It's about accepting it. Love is acceptance. That's essentially what it is. So the spiritual community can really evolve once it begins to understand responsibility, not as pressure, but as peace. Number 4, alignment doesn't show you the way. It helps you cultivate greater discernment. Alignment isn't a mythical, magical method towards finding your way through life, but it does help you discern between truth and illusion. And a lot of the spiritual community has been rooted in this kind of way of magical thinking, where you can affirm your way into making things happen, where you can call in something that comes in from the sky, where you can fake it till you make it kind of approach. You can't trick the universe, you can't fake a frequency, and you can't make something happen out of thin air. And when you do this, when you become the version of you who has the capacity to accept the reality, but also own it and take the steps in actually changing the trajectory of it, meaning obtaining personal responsibility, you realize that that is moving in alignment. You moving in integrity is you moving as your higher self, is you moving with your essence leading the way. And finally, number 5, alignment doesn't ask for more confidence. It asks you to have internal consistency. Now, external consistency is one thing. Momentum is built moment by moment. Internal consistency is something entirely different. Your body is always watching. It remembers when you collapsed in on yourself, when you abandon yourself, but it also remembers when you choose yourself. And that's the beautiful thing. How do you cultivate self-trust within yourself? Are you consistently showing up for yourself? Are you consistently demonstrating to yourself that you are a trustworthy and that you are a trusted person? So your internal consistency is key because your body is always watching, it's always nurturing, it's always listening. You need to teach it new ways of being, new ways of living as the most expansive version of you. So how are you holding yourself up, even on bad days? How are you nurturing yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? How are you treating yourself? All of this needs to shift in order for that version of you, the most expansive version of you, to be a real lived experience, and it needs to be consistent. The bottom line for all of this, for this entire episode, is that your frequency sets the standard, but your decisions enforce it. And alignment allows you, depending on which version of you is leading the way, alignment allows you to have the lived experience that you desire and that you want to hold, and allows you to sustain it if you are truly aware of the version of you that's leading the way. If you're aware of the version of you that's taking you there, that's carrying you there. So I hope you enjoy this episode today. Again, you can find it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And as always, be well and take care.